Hello friends, my name is Habib. Today we're going to learn how to make a wave shooter in Godot part 2. So first, before I watch this video, make sure that you have watched my how to make a wave shooter in Godot part 1 tutorial, since it's the continuation. Anyways, let's get started. First off, open up your project. Now that you've opened your project, you see that our project is the same as it was before. The first thing I'm going to do is increase the speed of the bullets since they're way too slow. Still too slow. There we go, the perfect speed. Even though they're kind of just the same as before, but whatever. Let's go, let's shoot. But the problem is, this so-called wave shooter is pretty bland and boring. I mean, what's a wave shooter? What's a wave shooter without anything to shoot at? So, create a new scene. Instead of that, copy the player scene, duplicate, name it enemy. Rename this to enemy. We're in the enemy scene. And change this color from, where is it? Transform, where is it? Visibility, yes. Change its color from blue to groggy green. Save. Remove the script. Now when you add a script to something, you can remove that script by pressing this button. Now I'm going to add a script. enemy.gd create. And now the first thing we want to do is that we want to make it so that the enemy will be able to follow the player. So write func underscore physics process var val equals to 0, var rot rotation equals to 0. Rot stands for rotation. So now first we have to make it point to the player. So write rot equals, but now I'm going to write now if we want to get things now all of these, they're called nodes. So if you want to get nodes in the root, the scene is the root, then write $./player.global_position. Why are we using global_position? Well, because there are two variables for nodes, position and global_position. Position, it just changes the local position of the player. So, like if I use position, it's going to edit the local position of the player, not the global position. The global position is the position of the player in the scene. So this is the scene, and the global position is the position of the player in this scene. What the normal position is not. So if you want to make enemies to follow the player, you have to use global position because, well, we need the enemies to get the position of the player in the scene. Anyways, .angle_2 points position. Now what this does is that it compares the player's global position and the current position, then turns that into an angle, and then it gets the angles of the position. Yeah, we can get the angle of things without having to do complicated trigonometry. Move and collide vel. I have to make this vel vector 2. Save. We need to set vel to vector 2, and now first you have to set the speed. I want the speed to be 2. Then write dot rotated rot. Now you see that's yeah, something really awkward is happening. The enemy is moving away from the player instead of moving towards the player. So we have to change this to -2. Wait, what? Anyways, save. Now you see that there's a problem that it doesn't really work properly. Create a new script, naming it global.gd. Global.gd contains all the global variables. If you want to create a global variable, just go to project settings, auto load. Click on this to add a script, the global script, and then add. Close. Now, if you want to reference our global script, just write global dot, and then what you want to reference in it. Open up the global.gd script and then write var pos is equal to 0, equal to vector 2, 0, 0. Now we want to update the position based on the player's position. So write global.pos is equal to global_position. So now, and then write print global.pos, save, run. Now see that if we go to the console, it is going to print the player's global position. Yeah. Let me change this to global_position. Follows the player. So anyways, the problem with the previous script was that we needed to get the enemy's global position, not local position. So yeah, this is kind of fixed now, and we can follow the player. But you might be wondering, then why do we need to make the player's position global then? Let me add a timer. The timer, it runs every single second. This wait time is the delay the timer has, like if this is 1 second, then that means the timer will run every 1 second. If this is 100, then that means the timer will run every 100 seconds, etc. Now, by default, the timer won't start itself, so you have to press auto start. Add a new script to the node 2D, naming it spawn. Now, in previous lessons, we haven't really talked about how to spawn things in Godot. If we want to spawn things, first we have to create a variable, and now we have to get the position. Wait, no, global, and now we have to actually get the scene preload. Since we want to spawn the enemy scene, we have to check the path of the enemy scene. So this is the enemy scene. So we can just drag it into here. So now go to timeout. What this does is that every time this is true, like if I set this to 100, then this method will mean every 100 seconds, then do something. If I set this to 10, then this will mean every 10 seconds and do something, etc. Double click on it, and now we have to connect it to a node. You can either connect it to the player node, the enemy node, or this. So we're going to connect it to this. So now we have to make the actual enemy. So write var nm is equal to e.instantiate. What this does is that it turns this path into an actual instance that we can put in our scene. So add underscore child. We're gonna write get underscore tree dot root dot add underscore child nm. What this does is that get tree, it basically gets the tree, and then the root, get tree dot root, it gets the current scene. So this is the current scene. And then add child, it basically just adds a child to it. And basically just add whatever is in here to it. Let me move the player far to the enemy. Oh, let me move the player far to the right. Let me delete the enemy node. Save. Now I want this timer to run every 10 seconds. Make sure to check auto start. Let me play my great game. This is taking too long. Every 0.1 seconds. You see that we're immediately greeted by an error which says invalid get index global underscore position on base null instance. The reason why we did this is because the player player position variable, it's not global. So all we need to do to fix this is change it to a global variable. So just write global dot pause dot angle underscore 2 point reload. And now you see that everything's working perfectly. Oh no, oh no, oh no. We also need to add enemy HP. It stands for health. Var HP is equal to 0, no not 0, 10. I'm going to make the enemy to have 10 HP. So, anyways, once we do that, we have to make it so that when the bullet touches the enemy, it's going to lose HP. If you remember before, first you have to go to the enemy scene, and then click on this area 2D. Area underscore entered. Now go to the bullet scene and check the name of the area 2D of the bullet. It's called the bullet. So then write if then area 2D dot name is equal to bullet, it is going to HP minus equals 10. Oh no, it's not 10. 1. I only want HP to reduce by 1. What this means is that this is the enemy, not the player. Oh. Yeah, let me change this name to enemy. Disconnect the signal. Re-put the signal again. Cut the code. Paste the code. What this does is that when this area 2D, when another area 2D enters it, which is this function, if the name of the area 2D is bullet, then the health of the enemy, this variable is going to reduce by 1. So write if HP is less than 1, Q underscore 3. This means that if the health is less than 1, then delete this node. So now play. But yeah, the bullet can very easily pierce through enemies. We want it so that when the bullet hits the enemy is going to get defeated. I mean, we want it so that when the bullet hits the enemy, we also want it so that when the bullet hits the enemy the bullet is going to disappear and reduce the enemy's HP. We don't just want it to reduce the enemy's HP. So what we have to do is that where is it? Enemy.tg. After write area.get underscore parent dot q underscore 3 run. Now see that when the bullet hits the enemy doesn't just, you see that when the bullet hits the enemy, the bullet doesn't just pierce through the enemy, but instead it disappears. Yeah, I have to increase the fire rate of the player. Let me reduce the fire rate of the player. Let me increase the fire rate of the player. Yes. Oh no. Oh, it's too much. So what this in enemy.tg, what this code does is that it gets the parent of the area, the child. How you know that this has a parent? Press this. So now it has a parent. So the parent of the bullet is this. The parent of this area 2D is this bullet. So what this does is that it gets the parent of what it collides with, which is this, and then deletes it. So that means it's going to delete this. Let me drastically reduce the spawn rate. Let me drastically increase the spawn rate because it's too easy. So anyways, that is it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel, ObaCode. Bye.